Hey, everybody, welcome back to the DLF Trade Show. We're pretty good.
Oh,
We're all right.
man,
Start
we
back
really
at the
are.
beginning.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
Start back at the beginning. Nowhere else to go but up. Okay, well, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at Hayes _. We are here to talk about player values using the awesome tools DynastyLeagueFootball.com has to offer it. The DLF Trade Finder, DLF Trade Analyzer, and these two brains right here. That's, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah, I'm
sure.
with you.
Cool. Let's do it. All right. We like to take a group of players, a couple of different positions, and, sort of talk about a range of trades you can make with these players or you can expect to offers to get with these players. And what we're going to do right now, this week, is the players that seem to have gained the most value since August. And we're going to start right away with a guy who seems a little disrespected in this trade analyzer. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Elijah Mitchell has shown that when healthy, he's a strong high-end RB2, low-end RB1,
Mm-hmm.
but has the ceiling to put up a 30-point game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's absolutely that guy you want in your lineups every single week. In a 12-team Superflex league, 152.4, that seems way too low. Like, that is saying that he is not worth a first-round pick.
No,
That's wrong.
which is weird. And yes, it's very wrong. Even in Superflex leagues, it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we're not here to get into that much because this first trade is Elijah Mitchell straight up for Marquise Brown in a 22 third. Like I said before, Mitchell is 152.4. Marquise Brown is 262. Now, I like that Marquise Brown is getting a little bit of respect on his name, but that also shows he's not worth a first yet. And that's also very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these seem very low. But I guess my question to you is their ADPs are Mitchell is at 72, Marquise Brown at 70. Like, they're right next to each other. They're practically the same age. Marquise Brown 24, Elijah Mitchell 23. I guess, would you think straight up this would be a fair trade?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm on team Elijah Mitchell over Hollywood Brown, like straight up. I know generally we're team wide receiver.
Yeah.
But to me, Hollywood is in that range where he's just super replaceable.
Yeah.
I know he has like really high spike weeks and has a huge ceiling, but there's also that time where, Lamar only throws it 20 times a game and 8 of those go to Mark Andrews, and Hollywood, he gets a couple targets more than 20 or 30 yards downfield, but he doesn't connect. His final stat line's like 5 for 30, and that's kind of where we're at with him on a handful of games out of the year. So I find that to be largely replaceable by a lot of other wide receivers valued in his same range, to the point where I would rather move to the running back in that instance, a guy who when healthy and when he is in the lineup, is the guy. And Kyle Shanahan has, proven, I think to me at least, that Elijah Mitchell is his guy, because every single time Mitchell's played and he's been healthy, he's gotten, 80, 90, 100 plus of the running back opportunities in those games. He's had monster PPR performances. I think that this is Elijah Mitchell's backfield as long as he is healthy, even moving forward. I'm a big Elijah Mitchell guy for Dynasty as well. I don't think this is just a 1-year thing. So
yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So give me Elijah Mitchell. I don't see this as a James Robinson situation. I don't see this as, he's obviously not an older vet where you just kind of have 1 year value and opportunity for him. I like Elijah Mitchell over Hollywood in Dynasty just because of the replaceability at wide receiver. And I believe in Elijah Mitchell like I have all freaking year.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you just said, but I still think I want Hollywood. And it might just be my wide receiver running back bias. I don't know. But to me, give me a guy who, on a bad week. Okay, not on a bad week, because he's not. Marquise is absolutely not Devontae Adams, and not comparison wise at all. But like, Devontae Adams is like one of the safest wide receivers there are. His bad weeks, he's still easily top 24. Like
Right.
he's not going to fall that low. He's not going to give you 3-4 points. Hollywood might do that once or twice, but as long as because the Ravens offense is weird. Like every once in a while they just forget how to play football. But if you take those weeks out where maybe you do get 1 or 2 bad games a season, but you do out of most players, his volume has seeming to got very consistent. And even with Bateman working his way back in, even with Andrews doing what he does, Brown is still getting those targets. And he's the kind of player that any given target, right? Like he's that fast,
Just takes
one juke and he's gone. So I like that. And I get that you are absolutely right in that he falls into that wide receiver 15-ish to 20 something, like that gap where it's just like,
yeah,
okay, sure, you're a wide receiver, that's cool. And Elijah Mitchell can like work his way probably up into that same like RB 15-ish range, which RB 15 is worth more than wide receiver 15, but he has been getting hurt a lot, Mitchell. And
yeah,
it might be a workload thing, I don't know, but my positional bias and the fact that I always have kind of liked Hollywood, I'm going to stick with Hollywood on this one. But again, I think it's fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair as well. I'm on it.
All right, so let's move down to 12 team 1 QB and Elijah Mitchell for a 23 first, and Kyle Granson, let's not leave him out because he is worth 6.7 points and the package adjustment was 5, so he technically still does affect this trade.
Yes.
In a 1 QB, Elijah Mitchell is 347.6. The 23 first is 253.3. All things considered, I think this is probably fair value. You know, with the way we're boosting up 23 firsts to be at least worth what 22 firsts are, if not soon, probably worth more. Like we're hitting the 2019, 2020 range. Like this is what's happening, where 2020s were impossible to get right before the 2019 draft because we were just like, nope, moving on.
I mean, it worked.
yeah, but I mean, you also missed out on like AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and a couple of good.
Know?
Yes.
If you drafted CeeDee Lamb, or honestly, even if you drafted Jared Jeudy, I don't think you're missing out a whole lot.
I mean, you're missing out on DK is a little sad. But again, we're talking like one guy out of
Clyde. Or do you want me to keep going?
Look, I never said that the 2020 draft class was bad. I mean, stop twisting. It's not helping. But okay. In the trade analyzer, 347.6 to 253.3. Yes, we're taking Granson and the adjustment out of it. This does favor Elijah Mitchell, which I do understand, especially right now. A guy scoring points should be worth more than a pick, especially the kind of points Mitchell can be putting up if they're, to me, equal level, especially again with the pick that's a year out.
Right.
While value-wise, I get it. 23 first and a dart throw for Mitchell, to me, is perfect. I get it. That's fine. If that's the case, it's a rebuild versus a competing, and I would be absolutely fine. I would prefer a better dart throw than Kyle Granson, but I'm good with this trade also.
Yeah, this one is actually different for me. I feel like I would rather, if I had Elijah Mitchell, I think I would take a 2023 first on the shot that manager is like super overconfident in his team and he thinks that he's going to be competing, but then that ends up being like a top 5 pick or something like that, because a top 5 pick in 2023 is going to be insane in terms of value. But then also, if you want to take the shot that you're getting a much better running back, not only in terms of talent and potential opportunity, but also what if Elijah Mitchell's injuries kind of are, you know, a thing that you just kind of deal with him, you know, with having him, and he only plays 11, 12, 13 games out of the year every year, which is still going to be fine. That's going to give you a top 20 running back at the end of the season, I think. But, you know, the opportunity that you can get somebody a lot better in 2023, I think is kind of worth it to me, on just flipping the Elijah Mitchell asset for a future first. I honestly, I feel the same way about a lot of running backs, you know, doing that same thing, especially in Elijah Mitchell's kind of value range. So that's just kind of something that I try to do more in Dynasty. Is just A lot of running backs, if I could flip them for a first, it just makes sense to me in terms of stability and the potential to get more on my investment.
Yeah, I also think, let's say you do this trade right now. May, June rolls around. We've done our rookie drafts, so the 22 draft is behind us. So 23 is the next round of draft picks. I think you can get more than Elijah Mitchell for a random 23 first at that point. Again,
you could, yeah.
Patience is not my deal, so I can't really preach it, even though you absolutely should have it. But yeah, no, okay, so yeah, I'm skewing more and more towards the pick, but I get it on both sides. It's the kind of dart throw you want to take. That's not a dart throw, it's not the right. It's the kind of risk, the kind of bet you want to take if you made it past the first round of the playoffs and you don't have a trade deadline and you want to get another player in there. Elijah Mitchell's that kind of guy.
And can you imagine if San Fran signs like Ronald Jones in free agency or some type of running back in free agency like that, or draft somebody in round 3?
I mean, they have to bring in someone. Mostert's like 37 and coming off being hurt.
Yeah.
Sermon don't look like he's a thing. Jeffrey Wilson won't be healthy ever. So I mean, all they really have.
Yeah, and then Hasty.
Oh yeah, and JaMychal Hasty also hurt. Maybe there's just something in the water for running backs in San Francisco. Now that I'm saying all this out loud,
I don't know, but that's kind of the scary thing. Like, just I as a Mitchell believer am like firmly in on them bringing in somebody else. But I know what that's going to do psychologically to dynasty managers is going to be like, oh, they brought in Ronald Jones. Oh, they signed Chase Edmonds. They drafted this guy on round 3 that, could have gone anywhere from round 2 to round 7.
Yeah.
And they just kind of, and they did that. And then now it's becoming, when does that person take over for Elijah Mitchell, or does Elijah Mitchell split carries and snaps? And I don't think any of that's going to happen, but I am ready for the psychological impact that will happen on dynasty managers when San Fran brings another running back in.
All right, and let's keep it in San Francisco when we talk about Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, 12-team 1 quarterback, is worth 607.5 in the analyzer, and this is a trade. I'm a little surprised by this. Deebo Samuel for Javonte Williams and a 22 second. That pick is on the wrong side for me.
This is a recent trade too. This happened only a couple weeks ago, so it's not like we're outside the range of Javonte not performing.
Yeah, and they are pretty close in value to me. But again, when we start talking about Javonte, who honestly, like, I'm pretty sure I've said it on this show before, he's going to walk into being like a top 7 running back next season by default.
Oh, easily.
So many people are going to age out. We're getting tired of Saquon being hurt. Everyone's going to get pushed back. And Javonte, who has shown what he can do, and the second we hear Melvin Gordon's not coming back, like,
game over.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a little rough for me with Deebo Samuel, especially having to pay. Even straight up, I don't think I want to do this. Like, straight up, I mean, the analyzer agrees 60 by 46 points. That's not really a deal at all whatsoever in the trade analyzer, but I would just really rather have Javonte. And even ADP, they're only separated by 2.25 picks. So again, technically they're even, but I'm going way against my biases and I'm taking Javonte pretty easily on this one.
Yeah. Did you see that whole thing on Twitter about like that one site ranked them as like RB3 or something like that right now? And people are like saying that you should sell Javonte Williams at RB3 prices.
I mean, I don't know if you're getting RB3 prices, but again, they're looking to the future and I completely understand it. RB3 is still too high because actually, I don't, okay, no, like I can't think right now because my brain has officially just checked out for the rest of the year, but the rest of the year is the 22nd. JT, Najee Harris, Swift.
We're there,
and we're at a place where I wouldn't hate anyone for saying for Javonte right there. And
yeah,
is it high? Yes. Is it completely out of question that he could be there? I don't think so. Like, putting Javonte above any of the older guys of the Kamaras, Saquons, McCaffreys, again, I get it. 100% get it.
I just looked at December DLF ADP for the first time for running backs. Do you know
Yeah.
who they have as RB4?
I don't who.
Joseph Mixon.
Good for him. I mean, like, wow. Yes, good for
Wow.
him. Finally putting it all together. Yeah, if he stays healthy, it's absolutely his job to, to be up there. Good. I'm glad.
Javante's RB10.
That's low. I'm surprised. Who's
Yeah,
in between?
Mixon, then McCaffrey, Kamara, Barkley, Chubb, Eckler, Javante.
See, I think he'll end up over Eckler and Chubb easily. If Barkley doesn't play anything well the rest of the season, I think there's a good chance Javante can at least be equal, if not above him.
I'm
And again,
surprised he's not above Saquon, to be honest, with the way
yeah,
people hate on Saquon.
and with McCaffrey like missing the entire season, I can see him dropping a lot also.
Meanwhile, Deebo, the player that we're actually trying to talk about,
Yeah, right.
is the wide receiver 10. So in terms of
That
positional
seems
rankings,
about
they're
right.
there.
Yeah, and with the way he's playing, it seems about right. But let's talk about 12-team Superflex, where Deebo worth only, wow, that's such a huge difference. One quarterback worth 607, Superflex 378.8. Just all those QB values, baby.
Just like 40 of them.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel for a 22 first, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The first is worth 354.8. Edwards-Helaire 331.7. After an adjustment, total of 667.0. It's the picks, and I won't feel great about it. Like, I think this is something, if I'm in the playoffs, I got just destroyed by COVID, or like I'm going both Kelsey and Tyreek on the list this week, makes me want to cry.
Yes.
Like, if I'm in this situation and I had my first and CEH on my team, I would probably send that for Deebo to try and keep me alive in the playoffs. Again, wouldn't feel great about it because I feel like I'm giving up too much, but I would do it because I still don't see the ceiling for CEH. So will I trade what I think is to be a mid-low end RB2 for a first and a late first for Deebo? Yeah, pretty easily. Wide receiver 10.
Yeah. I'm falling on CEH, and that really sucks.
I know, and you were the guy still saying the ceiling is there.
Yeah, and what sucks is I saw the game where he had 2 touchdowns, and he finished with like 17 fantasy points, scoring 2 touchdowns. And so if that is his ceiling when he finds the end zone, like that's rough. So yeah, I think I agree with you. This is, although I also see like Clyde in the first. It's really weird when you look at the analyzer values, like they're all in the 300 range. Like Clyde's at 330, Pick's at 350, and Deebo's at 370.
Yeah.
So like they're all right in there. So mentally, the pick side with Clyde and the first, if that's kind of roundabouts their value, would be a trade that I'd be like, you know what? I don't like this other side that I'm giving Deebo up for, but I feel like I could make something happen with those picks individually, or assets individually, that could equate to something that I like that is still more than Deebo Samuel. So like,
at least something you'd feel better with, right? Like,
yeah,
especially if there's one person in every league who still believes in CEH, I think, just because of how much we built him up landing in Kansas City. So if it's not you, and you know that there's a guy there or a girl, and you get those pieces, yeah, you could probably turn, even if you were just to take that first and CEH, wait like a week so people forget that, Deebo was part of it. And you can probably go get someone you feel better about. Like maybe you're not buying that Deebo's the wide receiver 10, which you should. He's shown that he could just play running back and he's still, great. Like, what was that? 2 weeks ago, he had like 4 targets, but like 18 rushes. Like, yeah, because every other running back was hurt. But I do believe in Deebo. Injuries were part of his. If he didn't have an injury history in college, he probably would have been ranked higher coming into the league. Like that was always a little on his plate, and it's still there. But honestly, like this season, it hasn't been that bad. He's missed a couple of games here and there, but
I know. And I'm mad at myself because I'm the guy who says I'm taking those bets on guys that can you imagine what this guy would do if he wasn't injured?
Yeah.
And that was totally like Deebo was right in front of me all freaking off season, and I never bought into that.
Yeah, but
And now
we
here we are.
saw what Ayuk did, and we know that Kittle is still there. So we all told ourselves the stories that even if he is healthy, it's just going to be muddled, and it hasn't been. It's been Deebo.
It's just all
Kelsey's been doing Kittle's been doing his own thing, but yeah, Deebo's been showing that he's the guy. So I honestly I like both sides of this. I don't know if I was confronted with this trade what I would do. In which case means I would probably just hit reject and run away crying because you made me think too hard.
yeah.
But but I get it. I get both sides of this, and we're gonna keep scrolling. And we're gonna talk about a guy I really like. We're gonna talk about Jaylen Waddle. Okay.
About time I get a Jaylen Waddle jersey because I freaking love him.
Yeah, I like that idea. Okay. When I like a player, it takes me forever to be like, never mind, he's actually bad. When I come in and I don't like a player, I can change my mind very quickly. I wasn't that big of a Jaylen Waddle fan coming in.
Neither was I.
He's like, don't get me wrong, he was good. I still had him as a first round rookie pick, but like I purposely traded to jump over him to grab Devonta Smith in every time I was around that beginning of the second, end of the first.
I was still Team Bateman over him. If I wasn't getting the chase, I was Team Bateman.
Yeah, that's rough. I did not do that.
I did not do that.
But like after 2-3 games watching Waddle play in the NFL, he showed that it's funny because like we just thought he was a deep guy. He was a fast guy. But then all of a sudden, wait, this guy's like an 8 out of 7, is catching 8 balls a game. What happens when they actually let him play deep ball also? Like this guy's ceiling can be crazy. Like right now, he's probably around wide receiver 15 to 20, and that is far too low. You're the smart guy who has
in ADP?
Yeah.
He is 15.
Yeah, way too low.
You know what's funny? He's a top 10 fantasy wide receiver.
Exactly. Like I'm saying, it's way too. People will realize it once the season ends. Be like, oh, and he's 23. Okay, whoop.
Oh crap.
Yeah, and he's going to jump up. So right away, very quickly, I realized I was wrong, and I traded for a bunch of shares. But let's talk about trading with Jaylen Waddle, 12-team 1 quarterback. Waddle comes in at 500.1, and the trade is Waddle and a 22 first for Alvin Kamara. This comes out to 826 for the Waddle side. Kamara himself worth 746.5. Okay. I can't trade for running backs. I can't do it. There's no way you're going to make me pick Kamara in this. Just because 23-year-old wide receiver who's already scoring as a wide receiver 1, who is currently wide receiver 15, who, in my opinion, should and probably will be going up very soon. For a 26-year-old running back who is just on a crap offense right now.
Waddle. It's Waddle.
To me, this is so easily Waddle in the first.
Would you take Waddle over Kamara? Straight up.
Would I? Yes. Should I? No. Like the answer is Kamara should be worth more. But my question is the trade value there at that? Like, can you get? Let's say I have Kamara and Waddle on my team, and I go to a competing team because, let's face it, competing teams want Waddle. Competing teams aren't going to trade away Waddle because he's scoring points, even though he's a rookie. So let's say you go to a competing team who happens to have a couple of firsts. And you say, I'm willing to give you Waddle or Kamara. You pick one and give me some offers. Or send me an offer for both of them. You're not getting the same offer for both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you say if the competing team has the 2 firsts, and you have Waddle and Kamara, you say, give me those 2 first. You get either Kamara or Waddle, your choice. I don't care.
Waddle's going to get probably taken 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, they're grabbing Waddle, right?
I mean, why not get the 23-year-old wide receiver who is good as opposed to the 26-year-old running back who can be really freaking good, except that offense is just trash. Now, don't get me wrong. If Russell Wilson shows up in New Orleans next season, because that was one of the 3 teams that he said he'd waive his no trade clause for, then sure, maybe that changes something for a year or two. But to me, Yeah, again, it might be the wrong answer, and I think it might be the wrong answer, but it's still my answer. Yeah, Waddle over Kamara. I can't believe you made me say that out loud.
There we go. So then adding the first on top just makes it so much easier because
Yeah,
you're getting that first.
yeah,
So that's why I decided I was trying so hard to find trades because I knew that you were really high on Waddle as well. And
yeah.
I knew, like, I know how high I am on Waddle. Like, I literally, in a previous YouTube video on this channel, I said that he's a lot closer to wide receiver 5 than he is wide receiver 10 in my personal dynasty rankings.
No.
And so that's how high I am on Jaylen Waddle. So I knew that there weren't going to be a lot of trades that I just wasn't on the Jaylen Waddle side. So, and I thought that this was going to be a good one to show how high we both are on Kamara as like a litmus, or on Waddle as like a litmus test for Waddle's value. But
Oh, this
then
next one is
I found the
interesting.
next one.
14. Let me say it again. 14 team Superflex. Jaylen Waddle and Taysom Hill for Joe Burrow. I'm sorry, Jaylen. I love you and all, but give me that stud QB in a 14 team Superflex by like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, besides the fact I want nothing to do with Taysom Hill, but yeah, that's like the analyzer Waddle 274.4, Taysom Hill 52.5. I'm not even going to do the package adjustment. That total is 326.9. Joe Burrow's 838. Like, that's rough. I don't understand trading away Joe Burrow. Take the L for the season. Keep Joe Burrow and just, it is what it is. Unless Joe Burrow's like your fourth quarterback in a 14 team Superflex league. Like, that's rough. I can't. No.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
This was the only trade that I found. I scrolled through about 2 months worth of Jaylen Waddle trades. This is the only one I found that really made me say, "Wow, I would trade Jaylen Waddle for this."
Yes.
And
yeah,
it's Joe Burrow in a super flex. I don't know how high you would need to go. Like, upgrade Taysom Hill to what quarterback? How high do you need to go to make this value equal? Like, immediately I go straight to Tua, but I don't even know if
we
that's
both
enough.
go straight to Tua every single time. That's the problem with our show. We both just go right to Tua every single time.
Stafford and Waddle, I think, is.
I could do that too. I mean, that's the same value area. You know, any of those guys that are valued like low end ones, high end twos.
Lawrence. I don't think I would trade Burrow for Lawrence and Waddle, though.
Yeah. I mean, if you still believe in Lawrence, you do that.
Russ, Lance, Watson. Oh, Rodgers.
I might do. If my team's bad, like I'm rebuilding, and someone offers me Waddle and Lance for Burrow, I think I take that. Like, I believe in Lance next year. I think he'll do really well. So if my team is bad already and I can add another asset, like, so I'm getting 2 coming back, and I know for a fact Waddle is good, and I really do believe in Lance the way I do, I think I could do that. And honestly, I think I'd feel good about that. Because worst case scenario, you can get a decent haul for Lance before the season starts.
Yeah, absolutely. He still has that value up there because we
He
haven't
still has
seen
the
it yet.
mystique around him.
Yeah, we're kind of like, man, he could still do it. I feel the same way about Fields as well.
Oh, I'm much higher on Fields. I believe in Fields.
Higher.
Like I believe in Fields.
Yeah.
Like, I had Fields above Lance in the first place, and it's Fields doing okay in the offense he's in right now means he's going to do great the second they have like a decent
right
offense.
when they fire Matt Nagy, his value is at least 2 rounds.
Yeah, like it's, and then they'll sign it. You know, A-Rob will walk. They'll sign another wide receiver, but we're not talking about Fields right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what we are talking about? We're talking about a horrible trade.
Yeah, we are.
Oh my!
Jaylen Waddle one.
Okay, 12 team Superflex. The thing is, like, I could see this happening.
On paper, this isn't a horrible trade, right? But it is.
So, all you people watching out there, if I were to say, I am going to give you Javonte Williams,
yes,
Jaylen Waddle, Baker Mayfield.
In a super flex, that's not Horrible. Okay.
Like, what kind of player do you think I would be asking for in return? Like, that's a Mahomes Kyler offer.
Yeah. Yep. You need somebody elite. Who?
Josh
Who?
Allen. I mean, heck, man, like Jonathan Taylor. That's a lot for Jonathan Taylor, but like, I'd see that happen. This is for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
This is for 26-year-old missing the entire season, Christian McCaffrey. That's not. I don't know, man. Like, that's not how you do it. That's not right. I feel like I say that every single horrible trade, and that's just, it's the truth. Like, you don't have to do that. In the analyzer, this comes out to a total package value of 837.2, Christian McCaffrey 624.7. So taking a step back, looking at the values themselves, this is a good trade. You, especially 3 for 1, you should be overpaying by a decent amount. But man, I cannot picture this actually happening in the league.
No. It's weird to me because it's like you don't take the Christian McCaffrey side if you're competing.
Yeah.
And you don't take the Christian McCaffrey side if you're rebuilding.
Nope.
Yeah, this one was one where I like saw it and I was like, man, I cannot imagine this actually being done, because this on paper does not look like a horrible trade, but it actually is.
In the real world, it is.
And
like,
yeah,
if Jonathan Taylor was on the other side of this instead of Christian McCaffrey, I would get it completely. And honestly, the level of these players, because they're 2 rookies and Baker, who isn't really, you don't feel great starting Baker in your super flex spot.
No.
So like, there's a really good team that just happened to get 2 late first last year, or like they were a middle of the pack team who just hit a lot or made a good trade or 2. So maybe trading away Javonte and Waddle doesn't really hurt their team very much. So yeah, if that's the case, I go get Jonathan Taylor. And then he gets hurt and misses 3 years, because that's what happens when I trade for running backs. But I'd feel great about it, but until that happens.
Yeah. No, this one was, I like this one. I like horrible trades that involve a lot of really big names.
Yeah, and because there's so many ways to talk about it. All right, but we're done. I can't stop. I'm still thinking about it, even though we're done talking about it. But this has been the DLF Trade Show. We're still pretty good. That was a good show. We have kept our pretty good level. Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at @AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.